Hi, my name is Brielle, and I am 14 years old. Because of my own mother, I had to leave home and go on the street, where I met and fell in love with a homeless guy. How did it happen? Just a few years ago, I had a happy childhood and loving parents. But one day, my dad met a younger woman and left us. My mom started drinking. The alimony she received was barely enough to buy some bread, since most of the money she spent went on her drinks. Soon, I was kicked out of a private school, but when I moved to a regular school, children began to mock me there. They constantly pointed fingers at me because I was wearing old ragged clothes, called me names, and spat on me all the time. I would often hide from everyone in the school's toilet and cry there for hours. Soon, my mom met another man, and he moved in with us. They both didn't have jobs, and all they did was drink. They would shout at me, beat me, and lock me in the room without food or water for a whole day. It became unbearable. I was emaciated and often fainted from hunger. I couldn't handle it anymore, so one day I decided to escape through the window when they locked me in my room. For the whole day, I was wandering through the streets, hungry and choking on tears. Then I decided to go to the old cemetery nearby in the hope to find at least some sweets or bread on the graves. Soon, I felt very tired, so I laid down on some bench near an abandoned tomb and fell asleep. But when I woke up in the morning, I found that I was covered with a blanket. But where did it come from? The next moment, I heard some noise nearby, and when I looked back, I saw some guy digging a hole in the ground. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my stomach because I hadn't eaten anything for more than a day. I decided to go to that guy and ask if he has any food, but as soon as I managed to take a few steps, my head started spinning, and with a scream and crush, I fell right on a bush of flowers on someone's grave. In a matter of seconds, I saw a very nice-looking blue-eyed boy above me. Kneeling down on the ground, he put his hand on my head and asked if I was okay, but I just silently looked at him, trying to come to my senses. "Don't be afraid of me. I will help you." And having said that, he suddenly took me into his arms and began to carry me somewhere. About 5 minutes later, I found myself in some small wooden shed with a broken table and an air mattress inside. Also, there was a bad smell of something. Gently, he laid me down on the mattress and handed me a bottle of water. When I drank it all to the last drop, I was able to say that I was terribly hungry. Then he looked at me with despair and quietly said, "I have a bun, but it's stale. Will you eat that? Or I'll go look for something." And then I suddenly shouted, "So give me that damn bun before I eat you!" That piece was so dry that I almost broke my tooth. However, soon I felt a little better and asked the boy to tell me about himself. It turned out he is 18 years old. His name is Daniel, and he has been leading a vagrant lifestyle for 3 years already. Once, his house burned down with his parents inside, and he was left completely alone and with nothing. He found this abandoned shed, which became his home, and works part-time in the cemetery, but his earnings are barely enough to buy water and bread. I also told him about my situation, and he accepted me to live with him. On weekdays, I brought us food from school, which I shoved into the bag and pockets of the malnourished in the dining room. And on weekends, we hunted pigeons and cooked soup with him over the fire. It was fun and cozy together with him. We were like brother and sister, but it didn't last long. Soon, I felt sympathy for this boy. One evening, it suddenly got very cold, and I froze terribly. We sat around the fire for a long time, but when a strong wind blew, we went inside the shed. That night, I lay for a long time and couldn't sleep. I was very cold, and I pressed closer to him. Daniel felt I was shivering and hugged me tightly. I was so close to him that I could hear his heart beating. Suddenly, he made a sharp movement, and the next moment, I felt the warmth of his lips on my face. We kissed for a long time, and I fell in love with him. I was his first girlfriend, and he was my first boyfriend. We thought we were made for each other, and even started making plans for the future. But then everything changed dramatically. Daniel went to the cemetery to do his job, but he didn't return for a long time. First, I didn't give much importance to that, but it started to happen again. And the strangest thing is that he started to bring delicious food home, although he never told me where it was from. And one night, he didn't come back at all, so I decided to go look for him. I wandered for a long time between the graves and trees, when suddenly I heard some voices and girlish laughs. I continued to follow the sound, and soon I saw two figures sitting on a bench in an embrace. No way. It can't be. Is it really him? Hiding behind the trees and coming closer, I suddenly could clearly hear Daniel's voice. Oh my gosh, he's dating another girl. What a sneak. My heart started to beat wildly in rage, but I stood motionless and listened to the voices coming. Soon, they stopped talking and started kissing. Oh no. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my heart, and a river of tears appeared in my eyes. A few minutes later, I saw them get up and start walking in my direction. Oh no, what should I do? They came closer, and I kept hiding, and all of a sudden, I saw my friend. It was Eliza, my classmate from the previous school. Unbelievable. Are they together? But she's ugly as hell. How's it possible? And then I realized where all the treats were coming from. He dated her for food. Trading me for food. Ha! I bent out of shape so badly that I was about to kill. However, I decided to act in a more cunning way. I quickly returned home and pretended to be asleep. In the morning, I found lots of food on the table again. Daniel was no longer sleeping and was sitting outside the shed. But as soon as he saw me, the first thing he said was, Brielle, I have to tell you something. We can't be together any longer. I love you, but you were too beautiful for me, and I want you to leave. And then I became nuts. So you dare to drive me away for that Gorgon? Then I told him everything I know and everything I think about him, spat into his face, and left. All day, I wandered around the city, hungry and crying. And in the evening, I decided to go home. There, I found my mom left her boyfriend, and now we live together. Sometimes, I think to go and burn that shed, but fate had already taken away his house, so let it be. But what would you do if you were me?